Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. Hello guys. So my 29-year-old sister has 3 kids, a 1.5-year-old and 4-month-old twins. I've always felt bad for her for not being able to join Hangouts since there's no one to watch the babies. So I would frequently offer to babysit so she could go instead. This has made our mutual friends, all 25 and older, closer to her, which I don't really mind. I'm 20, by the way. 2 weeks ago, my sister and our mutual friends planned a 4-day trip, which happens to fall during my school week off. I was super excited and asked where we were going. She said the girls didn't think it was a good idea for me to come since I'm really young, and that the other mutual friends' sisters wouldn't be coming either because they're 18 to 19. I said fine and tried to understand. A few days later, I was sending pictures I took to myself using my other 23-year-old sister's phone when I noticed a message from the trip group chat. I was curious and clicked on it. To my surprise, one of the friends suggested that the sisters come along, the other 2 girls and me, and that it would be such a fun trip with us included. But my older sister refused and said, no, I really need her to babysit my kids, and that she suggested this specific week because I would be off school. She hadn't communicated this with me at all. It was my only week off, and I really wanted to go somewhere and have fun. I definitely wasn't planning to babysit the whole week, especially for a toddler and 4-month-old twins. I was really mad. So I planned a trip with my friends and didn't tell her, since she hadn't told me that she was planning on having me babysit. And I guess she was planning to tell me the same day she leaves. My trip is scheduled 2 days before hers. Yesterday, while talking with my mom about needing to buy stuff for my trip, she asked, "What trip?" I said, "My week off with my friends." "I thought you knew," she said she did, but added, "You're not going on a trip." I said, "Yes, I definitely am." She got really mad and asked, "Who will babysit my kids then, since my other sister is going with them?" My sister started calling me selfish and reminded me she hadn't had a trip since she was pregnant with her first. Which is 2 years ago. I do feel bad for her, but this isn't my responsibility. I study all the time, and this was my only week off. I really wanted to go. She's refusing just so I can babysit, and it bothers me that my mom is also on her side and trying to convince me to cancel my trip. I've tried convincing my sister to hire a babysitter, but every time she argues and ends up firing them. I really don't know what to do. My trip is in 3 days. Should I cancel my trip? Absolutely not the a-hole. Let me be very clear. OP is not a backup parent, an on-call nanny, or the default childcare plan just because she happens to be the younger sibling. OP's sister made intentional plans to manipulate OP's kindness, not just behind her back, but while OP was literally excited to join the same trip. That wasn't an oversight. That was a deliberate betrayal. What's worse is that she didn't even have the decency to ask OP to babysit. She just assumed OP would have no life of her own, and that her free time was automatically hers to use. That is not okay. OP gave up Hangouts and stepped up when she needed help, and this is how she repays her. By lying and scheming to steal OP's only week off to use OP like free labor. And mom siding with her is just more of the same toxic pattern, prioritizing the older daughter's choices while demanding OP sacrifices her life because family. But being family does not mean you're required to abandon your own well-being every time someone else wants a vacation. And now let's hear community's opinion. Where is the father of the kids? Why isn't your mom volunteering to watch them? Not the a-hole. As far as you knew, you were never asked, so you made your own plans. Go have fun. She can deal with her own kids. Not the a-hole. Let your mom watch them. Set a boundary now, or these kids will end up being your responsibility on all of your breaks. Your sister needs to learn to ask, not manipulate. Not the a-hole. Also, time to start rolling back how much you help your entitled sister. She's twisted what should be considered a kindness into something she feels she is owed. I really hope that your sister pays you whenever you watch them. And if you haven't been charging, it is time to do so. This is very much a case of giving an inch and someone trying to take a mile. As background information, my parents have been divorced for over 10 years, and me, male 21, and my siblings, woman 24 and male 19, met my father's new girlfriend about 4 years ago. Our not yet stepmother always had a certain dislike towards us, and we didn't like her either. She always subtly implied that she doesn't like us. We have often tried to tell this to our father, but he is the quiet type. He never gets involved and believes that we should feel educated by her. I moved out 1 year ago. Now I've learned that my father and his girlfriend are planning to get married. Her idea. Even though our family has never been financially well off, my stepmother wants to have a big celebration. Now, here's the problem. She is demanding financial support from all of us children for the celebration because we are family too. My sister, 24, is kind-hearted and even offered to help voluntarily, but my brother, 19, and I were super annoyed. When I refused to give her a single buck and suggested that she should just make the celebration smaller, she flipped out, and we had a heated argument. After that, we didn't have any contact for a few days, until I suddenly received a notification that a certain amount of money was missing from my bank account. It turned out that my crazy stepmother had her hands in our accounts. Since I had a good relationship with my father, he had access to one account, which money she simply took. It wasn't a significant amount, but when she refused to return the money, I threatened to report her to the police for theft. All the relatives think that I want to prevent the wedding, and they say, "Don't make such a fuss. Family is more important than money, blah blah." But I'm angry and waiting to see if she returns it, or if I actually go through with it. Am I the a-hole? Update. After threatening with the police, she took a while, but gave the money back. I still reported her for theft to the police. Since it was her first recorded crime, she won't go to jail, but it seems like she has to pay a big fine soon. I hope she won't be able to afford it. Not the a-hole. Call your bank immediately and have your father removed from your account and tell them what happened. Whether or not you take legal action, you absolutely need to change all of your passwords and account access on literally everything you have. If you ever logged into an account of any kind at your dad's house, you need to change those passwords. Tell your dad that you're officially removing him from anything he has access to that is yours, as his fiancée has crossed boundaries you're not willing to compromise on. Don't cave on this. She's helping yourself to your money, and it definitely won't be the last time. They're not even married yet, and she's expecting you to pay her way. The fact that she thinks a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old have money to spare is unhinged. Not the a-hole. What the duck is this business about how kids are supposed to financially support a wedding for people presumably in their 40s and 50s? Advice. 1. Withdraw the remaining funds from the account and close it. Now. Same for your siblings, if your father's name is on any of their accounts. 2. Open a new account and deposit the funds there, with only your name on it. 3. Get the police involved, but not just for her. Your father participated in stealing the funds from you, so he is just as guilty. 4. Ignore what the relatives are saying. Even if she returns it, report it. If they can't do anything about it, at least you will have documentation if something more drastic happens in the future. My 25 female, brother, 29 male, and my sister-in-law, 31 female, recently had their lease ended. They have a new apartment, but not until December. My sister-in-law is also 6 months pregnant. They've been staying with me for a while now, and would be staying for another month since money is tight and hotels are very expensive where I live. I'm vegan, and I have been for years. Before that, I was vegetarian. My brother has always been making fun of me for it. Before sister-in-law and my brother moved in, I told them that I don't want any meat or fish in my house. The smell of fish and meat makes me gag, and I also love cooking and don't want my knives and pans touching it. My sister-in-law was fine with it. My brother complained but eventually agreed, since they don't have anywhere to go. Now, it went okay in the beginning, until I started to notice lots of packaging for meats in the trash can. I talked to my brother about it, and he said he only cooked it when I wasn't there, so I wouldn't smell it. I really didn't like it because it had been in my pans and touched my knives and cutting board, etc. But I decided to let it go, and told him he could cook meat and fish when I'm not there, but use his own pans and knives. He said he would get his own stuff in a few days, they're in storage, and then would wait cooking meat and fish until he got them. Well, last week he was cooking meat. I didn't notice immediately because I was in an online meeting in my bedroom. Again, in my pan and with my knives, etc. Because he didn't have time to get his stuff from his storage. 20-minute drive. I got really mad and said it would be his last warning. A day later, he started making bacon and eggs, again in my stuff. He then said he only cooked meat because of sister-in-law's pregnancy cravings. She wasn't even there, didn't come home for a few hours later, and I know she doesn't even like bacon. Maybe she had pregnancy cravings, but she wasn't even home, so it made no sense anyway. I wanted to let it go, but when he started laughing in the evening to my sister-in-law that he had such a lovely bacon sandwich, I kicked my brother out. Now he's been staying in a way too expensive hostel, sharing a room with 7 other people. My sister-in-law said she finds it important to let her baby bond with the father, my brother, and is now also looking to stay at the same hostel or look for a hotel they can't afford. She did understand me though, but I think she also thinks I overreacted. I feel bad for them, especially her, because it's not easy as a pregnant person to stay at a hostel while working, etc. But I feel like I didn't kick her out, and I gave him enough chances. I know it sounds silly because it's just meat and fish for many people, but I just don't want to live in a place like that. Or should I just have let it go? I feel disrespected. My friends are 50-50. I don't have any family to ask. Not the a-hole. Don't stay at someone's house if you can't respect their rules. Not the a-hole. Your brother valued a bacon sandwich higher than showing respect to his sister or providing a stable home for his pregnant wife. I'd say let sister-in-law stay with you, as she's not the a-hole, and you're not the a-hole. You are entitled to have rules for your home that you expect guests to follow. It doesn't matter if they think the rules are reasonable or not. Your brother is a jerk. I, 28 male, got married on 14 June and just got the courage to post this on Reddit. I honestly don't know where to begin. Me and my wife, 26 female, have been in a relationship for 6 years, married for 3 months. Already, and through those years, have met most of my family including the aunt, my parents, and other relatives welcomed her. While this aunt, 59 female, has been giving her the stink eye the very first day they met. I already know my aunt, the most religious, deeply conservative, holier-than-thou person you'll ever meet, and I've learned to avoid her and ignore everything she says, so I decided to inform my wife, girlfriend at that time, to avoid that aunt at all costs, and she agreed. No major issues then. Then virus arrived. Both me and my wife lost our job. We worked in the hotel-restaurant industry, so we decided to take online freelance jobs, and then we both gained weight. Now, fast forward to 2022. My wife and I endured through the virus and decided to make our own business and move back to my hometown 900 miles away from the city. Before starting the business, I wanted to marry her first. I proposed, and she said yes. We made plans, and initially it was just me and relatives, aunt not invited. But you know how the parents are. From a small party of 9, it became 50. It was all going great until the aunt suddenly showed up. My mom invited her without telling me, and I prepared for the worst. I already know how she'll behave, but I forgot to prep my wife about it. At least she was 5 tables away, I said to myself. But the entire time she was loud about how we both gained weight, and then proceeded to go into the in-laws table, and then talked, to make sure my wife hears, about it's the wife's duties to take care about the husband's health, and if my husband was sent to the hospital for his health, I can find a new man. Also, if you let yourself go, then you failed as a wife, and a whole lot of crap about religion. She's Catholic, while father-in-law was Protestant. Politics. She's far right, while both father-in-law was leftist. I've tuned her out, until I noticed my wife shaking. I asked her what's wrong, and she said, "I can't take this." I was clueless. Then I saw my aunt not on her table. Then I stood up and yelled, "Are we really doing this right now?" And then I proceeded to yell out all of her crap. I was about to vent out more of my frustrations on her, but finally I was able to control myself. I then told her to leave and never speak to me, my wife, or the in-laws ever again. Most of my relatives agree with me, but told me to forgive my aunt, while there's a minority who says I've gone too far and ruined my own wedding. I felt that I did nothing wrong. I was just defending my wife, and it was a bonus that I released some of my childhood frustrations at my aunt in the process. Was I in the wrong here? P.S. In-laws told me I did the right thing, and they just didn't want to cause a scene. Not the a-hole, and mom was out of line inviting her to your guest list for your wedding. Not the a-hole. Horrible people act that way because people who aren't horrible don't call them out. Good on you. There's a line in Yeats' Second Coming about how the worst are full of righteous certainty and the best are full of doubt. Don't doubt yourself. Not the a-hole for kicking her out, but you're the a-hole for letting your mother and family take over your guest list in the first place. It's not a matter of you know how your parents are, with your shoulders shrugging off responsibility. It's a matter of you having the duty to be on guard, to make sure that your family doesn't ruin the wedding for your wife and you. It's your job to handle your family. After you let your mother inflate the guest list so drastically without opposition, it's no wonder she added your aunt. You should have stopped her before she even dreamed of crossing that line. Some background. My wife, 32, and I, 30, have decided due to medical issues not to have kids, and we do not have the money to adopt a child. My wife's sister, who I will call Beth, 24, recently became a mother for the second time. Her oldest child is 4 years old, and he is the sweetest little boy. She and my brother-in-law, who I will call Tom, welcomed their second child last Friday. My wife was asked by Beth to come help her after she gave birth. My wife was supposed to be there for 2 weeks helping out with the new baby and watching her son. My wife was only there for 3 days, as she was told to leave by Beth and her husband. When my wife got home today, she was frustrated and very angry with Beth, and when I asked what happened, she wouldn't tell me. So I called Tom. He told me that my wife was constantly undermining their rules for their son, and was constantly giving him things and letting him do things he had already been told he wasn't allowed to do. My nephew asked Tom if he could have ice cream. Tom told him no, as my nephew had been misbehaving. My wife then tells my nephew he can have ice cream and gave him a huge bowl. My nephew asked Beth if he could have the iPad. Beth told him no, as he was supposed to be cleaning up his toys. My wife took the iPad from Tom and Beth's bedroom and gave it to my nephew. Things came to a boiling point today when Beth was trying to shower. She'd made it clear she didn't want my wife in the bathroom helping her, and she only wanted Tom's help. My wife forced her way into the bathroom and tried to help Beth undress, and Tom was trying to pull my wife off of Beth. Beth was upset and crying and trying to hold her bathrobe shut. Finally, Tom was able to get my wife away from Beth, and he told her to go home and not come back. When I heard this, I gently asked my wife about it, and she told me she was only doing the right thing, as no man wants to see his wife naked after childbirth, and she was only trying to help spare Beth any embarrassment, body image issues. I gently explained to her that I understand why she was asked to leave, and it was honestly her fault, and I told her she needed to apologize. My wife blew up at me, saying I wasn't there, and therefore I don't get to take a side, and if anything, I should have defended her to Tom and Beth. My wife has been giving me the silent treatment ever since, and I've been getting nasty phone calls from my wife's friends, calling me a piece of crap husband for not defending her. So am I the a-hole for telling her it's her fault she was kicked out of her sister's house? Not the a-hole, but holy crap, your wife assaulted that poor woman. You have bigger issues than what you're asking about. Do you really think you can trust a woman like that when you're vulnerable and in need of help? Not the a-hole. I was fine with my wife's body after she gave birth. I'm still a big fan of her body 4 years later. Sounds like your wife doesn't respect boundaries. Ignore her dumb friends. This is none of their business. Different type of relationship with her family, but the bathroom part is highly concerning. I would be keeping a close eye on your wife's mental health. The rest are all jerk moves and deserving of being asked to leave, but also maybe not that uncommon for childless aunties. But the bathroom thing is super odd to me. Context. I, 23 male, and my fiancé, 24 female, have had parties at my parents' home for our baby son. It is best we do them at my parents', as although we live in our own home, it has a tiny garden and we have no outdoor furniture. My fiancé wanted to invite her best friend over, 24 female, who brought her partner, male, and their kids, 6, 3, 2 years, and an 8-month-old. I was fine with this, as it was her best friend and I trusted she is a responsible person. Me is me. J, my fiancé. B, fiancé's best friend. M, my mom. D, my dad. CH, my 1-year-old son. The first party we held was our son's baptism. I kept myself busy as my ADHD was going crazy, and I didn't want to ruin it for people. However, her kids broke our son's toys, then trashed my parents' home. They also found and destroyed one of my personal toys when I was a baby. I had to spend the whole party running around keeping them behaved and being demanded by others that I do tasks for them like fetching food and drink, like a ducking waiter. Yes, it was CH's baptism. I never got to spend time with him and wasn't even offered a seat until 6 hours into the party. I was so upset, and Jay went to speak to her, and she promised it wouldn't happen again. So I believed her. Today rolls around, and it's Jay's birthday. Since CH's birthday is 2 days later, we held a combined party. We ordered a bouncy castle, got plenty of food and drink. We got separate loads for ourselves and the party, including the drinks for CH. As the party starts, B places her bag in a chair and takes up most of the table. Her kids start running amok instantly, and I have to supervise them while spending time with CH. Jay tries to help me as much as possible, but I clearly get angry. I disengage and head into the kitchen to cook some food for the guests, along with D. D is chilled, and I calm down making food. Over the course of the party, 12 out of the 20 cupcakes for CH's birthday is eaten by the brats. They nearly broke CH's swing he got for his birthday. They never used the bouncy house they insisted on having, 55 pounds later. After 5 hours, I managed to finally sit, only to be told by B to move out of my chair. Like, hello, I want to celebrate too. We lose 60% of the food we bought to the brats, shoving their fingers into the middle of the food and walking off. One even licked a piece of food, then mixed it with the others. All this was happening while Jay was forced to tend to B's 8-month-old daughter, who is a nightmare. So she doesn't get time to spend with CH. Between me and Jay, we never ate any of the burgers and sausages we got. We never ate any salad, and as stated, the desserts were off limits due to the brats licking and poking holes. I literally missed my son's first birthday party for this. And with mine and Jay's wedding coming along in 3 weeks, I don't want B to bring her kids. If she does, she has one strike. If I get asked to look after any of her 4 kids at my wedding, it'll be a stern no, and be asked to leave. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What is she doing while her kids are running around? What is the best friend's partner doing? You are not in charge of these kids. If they ask you to look after them, say no. Don't give this person the option of bringing the kids to your wedding. If she asks why, tell her the truth. Not the a-hole, but it needs to be your fiancé who tells her that her children are not welcome at your wedding. From what you have written here, I wouldn't even let the kids in the door. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé's friend is taking advantage of your kind nature. If I were you, I'd be telling her right now that her kids aren't welcome at the wedding, not even giving her the one chance. She's proved she can't be trusted to supervise them properly during social occasions, so she would have used up all my chances after the second time.